Hello, my friends on YouTube. Today is Sunday, the 29th of September 2024, and today's video is about. Oh, by the way, it is for mature audience. If you're under 45, probably this is not suitable for you. Just kidding, but it's a warning. Again, to avoid strike, I'm going to speak as usual in symbols. VÜCKKING with the V, young girls. The Prophet of Allah, may the blessing of Allah be upon him, he made a roadmap for all of us to not to deviate. So we're clear. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to check what happened here. I was actually going to talk about child marriage, but as I was searching one video, it surfaced in Arabic. I'm going to put it in the description box. You can somehow, even though if you don't speak Arabic, you can sense what is going on. Is a father who sold his daughter and her cousin, his brother's daughter, at the age of 10, each one of them at the age of 10, to a man in his 60s. And of course, 10 years old, these are young girls. However, we know that the Prophet of Allah, may the blessing of Allah be upon him, and we're respecting him here so that we don't get any strikes. So for those who complain, don't complain, because we're respecting him. You forced me to respect him. Okay, so I'm respecting him. May the blessing of Allah be upon him. All right, there's a lot of respect here. So you can't complain. We play your games. All right, so I'm going to put you this hadith in the description box. It says, the Prophet of Allah may be that's on Aisha. Aisha is narrating. Aisha, the mother of believer, may the blessing of Allah be upon her. She is narrating that the Prophet of Allah married me at the age of 6 and consummated the marriage at the age of 9 in Medina, after Khadija died, his first wife. Okay, so at the age of 9, he consummated the marriage. He was 54 then. So when we see a man selling his daughter for $100, and I actually found there is also a man in Afghanistan and other places in Pakistan also. I found CNN made a report on Afghanistan that people are selling their daughters to those who have money. And the reason is the situation is desperate after the American forces left. The country is in chaos. It's under Islamic rules. And wherever these rules go, hunger, starvation, failure is the norm. So anyway, a man, he cannot find food for the rest of his family. He was forced to sell his daughter. And to the man who is buying her in his 60s, and she's about, I think, if I'm not wrong, she's about 7 years old. A man in his 60s, it is hard really to comprehend this in the head, logically, to make sense of this. It's just hard. It is really hard. However, the man, this 60 years old man in his mind, if the Prophet of Allah, may the blessing of Allah be upon him, married the mother of believer, may the blessing of Allah be upon her, he was 54 and she was 9, why not me, 60, marries 10, well, she's 7, he can have her, and we're going to speak why have her in his home. Until she's 7, he can keep her in his home, she can clean, she can do everything. But also at the end of the day, according to specifically Muslim Shiite, I don't know if this man was Muslim Shiite or Sunni, but it doesn't matter, both of them say, yes, he can marry her, but the Sunni and the Shia, they say he can consummate the marriage at the age of 9, or whenever she is strong enough to handle the sexual relationship. And that could be, let's say, some young girls are big, so if she is like tall enough and probably a little bit stout, then you can do even if she's 7. She doesn't have the Muslim Sunni and the Shia. They say if she can handle it, go ahead. So this is really painful to see this little child as she is driven. It's reported by CNN as she is taken away from her family and she's trying to pull back. It's a painful situation. And to the man who bought her, well, I paid her dowry. That is, I bought her. I bought her. She's mine now. I paid the dowry practically. It means she's mine. I bought her. And this is what the dowry really is you buy a human being. You buy a person. You buy a woman, a young girl. And to a person like that, he doesn't have any bang of conscience. And I'm going to speak about that, why he doesn't get a bang of conscience. You see, like, in case if you are, let's say, in a country, let's say I live here in America. Many American people, at the end of the day, after they finish work, they go to the bar and they drink a beer, a pint of beer or a glass of wine, and they go home and they continue on with their life. There's nothing wrong with having a beer. That's something in the culture. Also in Europe, in Asia, in many places, drinking a glass of wine or a pint of beer is not a big thing. That's in the culture. However, a man who takes a 7 years old or 9 years old or 10 years old, after he pays her dowry, he is very similar. He feels justified. Like if a man drinks a beer after he finishes work, nobody can tell him, why are you doing that? I'm free to drink. I'm drinking. There's nothing wrong with it. It's in the culture and it's normal. So he doesn't feel shame. He doesn't feel bang of conscience because it's a drink and I'm drinking it. The same thing for the person who takes a 9 years old child and do that with her. I don't want to get strike. Is doing like the Prophet of Allah, may the blessing of Allah be upon him, doing the same thing. He feels justified. She's not. She is 10. She's 10. She's 1 year later. She's almost becoming an old woman. She's 10. She should be okay. Anyway, these two girls ran away from supposedly the husband, and they are begging on the street, singing and stuff like that to make money to eat. They don't go to school. Their future is destroyed. So, so he's justified because his boss, leader, or his guru, or whatever you want to call, he did that. So why should he feels any pain, internal pain, any bang of conscience? None. He didn't violate any rule or law. You see, you feel pain or bang of conscience when you violate the law or the rules. Let's say in Europe or in the Americas North and South or Asia, every human being knows that marriage is one man, one woman. However, we know that some people have extramarital affair, men and women. So they actually secretly, he or she, they find the time to go and do that with another person other than the spouse, other than the husband or the wife they are married to. So deep in their mind, these people know that they are violating the covenant that they have with their partner. Whether they are Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, atheist, agnostic, any religion or no religion, they know they are violating their conscience and their spouse, the other person. They know that. Except, and this because it's the law and the tradition says that in these countries. But when the law, the Sharia says a man can take a 9 years old, why should I feel bang of conscience? This is from Allah. Why should I feel a bang of conscience? Why would a man who is drinking a beer after he finishes work feel a bang of conscience? Is there a law says, is there a law of heaven says you shouldn't drink beer? No. Is there an earthly law says that you shouldn't drink beer? No. So he's justified. Whereas this man who is 60 years old take a 10 years old and does that to her, he also feels justified. Why should he feel a bang of conscience? He has a ticket from above to tell him you're okay. Go ahead and do that. It's okay. It's fine. Why I started to search for this video? The reason here is Iraq. Iraq until mid-70s, 1970s, was a very prosperous country. Was very wealthy country. They had lots of oil and they had very well educated people. So it was doing well. What happened? Now it's one of the poorest. Their education is in the toilet. Education system, everything is falling apart, everything is failing, and yet with economic, culture, political, all parts of life in this country now is destroyed. Yet the Iraqi parliament is about to pass a law to reduce the age of marriage for girls to make it 9 years old, the same as the mother of all believer Aisha, may the blessing of Allah be upon her. She married the Prophet of Allah when he was 50 years old, and when she was 6, and he did everything with her when she was 9. So these guys now because the Prophet of Allah, may the blessing of Allah be upon him, did that with that young girl when she was 9 years old. They want to reduce the age of marriage to 9 years old. Why not? The Prophet did that, so why not follow in his footsteps? He's our example in life. Shouldn't we? So they fixed all the problems of Iraq. Everything. Now is the time to pay attention to reducing the age of marriage to 9. And it's about to pass. And as I was examining, I see this filth. A man buying two girls, a girl and her cousin, for $200. A man selling his little daughter, about 7 years old, for $2,000. And many others. I mean, you can search that on your own. Many. Some of them out of desperation, really, because at least the father, one of them was saying, I can't feed the others. There is no job. There is no work. There is nothing. I can't provide for them. So if I sell one, I can save the others. I understand this dilemma, yes. I mean, I thank God, I never been in that. I hope no one else should be in that, but it is painful situation. So he's sacrificing one to save two other kids. And that man was in Afghanistan. He said after the American left, he lost his job, and it's not that he is lazy, he's not. But he was put in that situation. And once again, this ideology never goes anywhere, and it really leaves people with dignity and honor, and to provide for themselves and their families. They always put restriction. So as I said, there are so many people who are selling their children out of desperation. Some probably also because addicted to drugs and stuff like that. Anyway, it is what it is. They are forced to sell their children because they are not making enough income to eat and support. Let's say, I know many people who smoke cigarettes. But if that man smokes cigarettes and he's addicted and he cannot buy his cigarettes, at certain point he thought of selling his child. However, if there was a better example that he is following, if there was no man as an example in history who did not do that with a 9 years old child, if that example said this was wrong, even if he had seen people around him doing, although there is nothing to suggest, because people really felt this is strange to marry 6 years old and consummate the marriage at 9. People felt that was weird that he married his adopted son's daughter, his daughter-in-law of his adopted son. It was strange. The people at his time did not do that, and if they were doing that, you should live up to a better standard. You should be you say that you are the best that God have created. Shouldn't you live up to a higher standard? Shouldn't you be held to a better standard? No. So the Iraqi parliament is about to approve this law that they reduce the age of marriage similar to that of Aisha, that the girl can marry at the age of 9. If this takes place in Iraq, there are many desperate countries in this region. Syria, Yemen, Afghanistan, Iraq, And very soon, because a couple of days ago, uh, Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah in Lebanon, he was killed. And it seems to be that the Israeli forces, they are they made the determination, we are not going to live with that intimidation day and night, crossing our borders, killing our people, raping our women, cooking little babies in the oven. We don't have to deal with that again, ever. So I think this time is not like 2006. I think this time Israel is entering Gaza and Lebanon not to teach a lesson, no, and killing uh, Nasrallah or Ismail Haniya. And soon, I'm not really suggesting, but they are fed up. So they are not going there to teach a lesson like what happened in 2006. No, they are going in to uproot everything these guys have. Uproot. And unfortunately, it's not. When I read what the young people in these countries now doing and saying, we are with the resistance, we are to crush Israel, we are. Crush what? You're in the dirt, you're in the toilet. Try to stand up first. Anyway, we thank you and we hope to hear from you. If you have comments, if you have questions, we welcome that. Thank you very much.